After being fined last week by the NFL, Steelers defensive end Cameron Heyward honored his dad, former NFL fullback Craig Ironhead Heyward, for the second straight week by wearing iron and head on his eye black. Heyward told Pro Football Talk on Monday that he plans to write a letter to Roger Goodell to explain why he's doing it. For a second offense under the NFL fine schedule, Heyward will lose over $11,000. Skip, should the NFL stop fining him?
Stephen A., you know what I said last week, that I believe the NFL should toe that line when it comes to protecting its uniform policy and its code, as unpopular as it might be, because if you throw it open to anyone honoring any relative when it comes to any kind of disease that they might be suffering, it's hard for the NFL to say no to that one and yes to that one and no to that one. Unfortunately, just a few minutes ago, I read this story from our Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, who says that the Heyward camp today will argue that Devin Still, whose daughter obviously went through a terrible struggle, wore the eye black Leah Strong multiple times last season. So now they would look to be hypocritical if they keep fining Heyward for what he's doing to honor his father when Devin Still was allowed to honor his daughter last year, to support her. So I don't know where you draw the line anymore. This makes it a strong case that he should be allowed. But then everybody should be allowed, and so, as I keep telling you, Pandora's box will be thrown wide open, because it's going to be hard for the NFL to say no to the next guy who says, my sister is suffering from X disease, or my uncle or my cousin, and how can the NFL say, well, that's not that big a deal. Well, they're all big deals. We all have somebody who's suffering from cancer. Yep. I have somebody in my life. I'm sure I know you have multiples in your life. Where do you stop? And my point to Cameron was, obviously, you can honor your father in many other venues, on your Twitter site. You can speak to groups. You can do whatever you want. But that code of that uniform, to me, because I honor the game that is the National Football League, it must remain sacred. You can honor your father any place but on your uniform. But apparently, because of the Devin Still situation, now maybe all bets are off there.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Devin Still situation, because what it says to me is that things that are uniform and are concrete aren't necessarily the case. Arbitrary feelings come into the equation, and we modify our positions all the time. The NFL obviously has the power. So when you know you have the power, stop worrying about Pandora's box. Who cares about Pandora's box opening up? You can shut it anytime you feel like it. And that's just the way that I look at it. This has absolutely nothing to do with this incident involving, you know, Cameron Heyward or Devin Still. But when I think about a guy like Sheldon Richardson for the New York Jets, a player that I like, that I think is going to be incredibly valuable for them this season, it hasn't escaped me that you were caught driving 143 miles an hour down a highway with a 12-year-old in the back seat of your car. You pulled off on the side of the road and tried to hide in somebody's driveway before the police spotted you, and no kind of punishment came down whatsoever. Now, you were in the midst of your situation with your 4-game suspension with the weed, but the reality is that you were supposed to get punished for this. Nothing has happened as of yet. Not to say it couldn't. Something could still happen, but nothing has happened yet. The point that I'm trying to make is that we see the NFL occasionally modifying their stance from time to time. Well, what's wrong with doing so here? Why are we worried about Pandora's box, where we show a willingness to modify our positions from time to time?
Well, you're going to have to keep it open.
You don't have to. That's the whole point. You don't have to. One could make an argument against it, but you don't have to. So I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's a tricky one, though. I get both sides. The Cubs, they're trying to do something they have never done before. We'll tell you what that is after the break.
Hey, trial they won.
Tonight, the Mets are in Chicago as they look to go up 3-0 against the Cubs. Are they done?
And the Cubs are done. I tried to listen. The story has been nice. The story has been nice. I'm gonna come through for my man Jeff. Dad, I'm not betraying you with the Yankees.
I think you just betrayed him.
Listen, if the Yankees are not in it, I'm gonna root for the other New York team. The Mets have superior pitching. I'm telling you, DeGrom, who won the series against the Dodgers, will mow them down tonight. Mets could potentially be shaky, but I believe in him. I believe he'll get it done. So it'll be over Wednesday or Thursday. Probably Wednesday.
Wait, are you calling it a sweep?
I'm calling it a sweep.
You're calling it a sweep.
Listen, got one run in 2 games. Schwarber can only do so much for the Chicago Cubs. Rizzo, Bryant, and all those guys, nice guys, a lot of potential. The future's bright.
So many teams.
But this year, the Mets pitching, I tried to tell you. Okay, and Daniel Murphy, is there anyone hotter than him right
and
now?
they don't even want him back next year.
That's right. Well, no, that's not worried. That's the future. That's the future. Let's think about it now.
Stephen A. Smith, the Benedict Arnold that he is to his Yankees, has picked the Mets to sweep, and you have jinxed the Mets. You have cursed the Mets.
Listen. They're going to win tonight. They're going to win tonight.
I love it.
They'll probably sweep them. Worst case scenario is Thursday. And by the way, it's good for the Yankees because the Yankees can't stand the Mets being successful. That means they'll go out and spend money this offseason, and they'll be better next year. The Mets can have their time in the sun right now.
Stephen A. Smith has said it will be a sweep, and it is over. I love the Mets' chance.
I'm calling for the sweep.
Yep.
Mets.
You have cursed your Mets.
M-E-T-S. Mets.
Hey,
That's for you, Jeff. That's for you, Jeff.
A 27-7 victory to grab first place in the NFC East. According to FBI, the Eagles now have a 73% chance to make the playoffs and a 65% chance to win the division. Brian Clark's in the house. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
All right, we need your help here. Who do you have winning the NFC East right now?
The New York Giants.
Oh, you do?
After last night's disaster?
It was a disaster on both sides. It's not like we could come out from that game saying Sam Bradford is the guy to lead the Philadelphia Eagles to winning the NFC East. It's a mess down in Washington right now. You know, he's sticking with Kirk Cousins, but he's throwing interception after interception, so I don't think that's a team that can really compete. You look at Dallas, until they get Dez Bryant and Tony Romo back, they still might be in the hunt, actually, the way this thing is playing out. But the New York Giants, coming into this game, this is a team that could have been undefeated if you take away 2 fourth-quarter debacles by the defense and some things going wrong, telling people not to score and not doing the right things offensively, time management-wise. I just still think they're the best team as far as the complete team offensively and defensively. It was a bad night last night. I mean, DeMeco Ryans basically takes the ball away from Donnell early in the game, and I think that set a tone for the game. Carroll returns the interception for a touchdown. But it was just a bad night for the New York Giants. I think they're the most complete team. I love the way their receivers play football. Ruben Randle has been stepping up. Last night was sort of a step back for him. Odell Beckham's obviously a star. And I trust Eli Manning, unfortunately, more than any other quarterback in the NFC East. And that's why I give them the edge. I think in the end, they will win enough games to get in the playoffs and be the only playoff team from the NFC East.
Did you put them up to this?
No, I didn't, but this is tremendous. Hope is alive.
Hope is alive. Mr. Smith.
Isolated incident. I like it.
My problem with the Giants is that they are ranked 30th against the pass. I do agree with you. I don't trust anybody in the NFC East more than I trust Eli Manning. I will say that. And I think that Victor Cruz ultimately coming back, along with Ruben Randle playing the way that he plays, regardless of what happened last night, and Odell Beckham Jr., I think they'll be fine. Their defense is highly suspect. Their offensive line is still suspect. But I don't think anybody is devoid of being suspect in the NFC East. So I will agree with Ryan on this. I think the Giants right now are the team to watch out for most in the NFC East compared to anybody else.
So, Ryan Clark, you say the Giants are the most complete team, and the offensive line I witnessed for 4 quarters last night could not block the Eagles' front. Just couldn't block them. Tried all night. Eli was under fire, and all of a sudden it turned him from great Eli into bad Eli. So, to Stephen A's point, the defense is just flat sorry to me. It's just combustible and torchable. At any moment they can give up any kind of big play that you want to come up with. So how is that complete to me? I don't see it. I respect Eli, although he turned into bad Eli for a while last night, maybe because he wasn't protected. The pick six was the old bad Eli who 3 times has led this league in interceptions. So how is that complete?
Well, to me, it's complete in the sense as the most complete team in the NFC East.
It's a sorry division then, right?
It's not a complete team in the sense of, it's not a complete team in the sense I'm saying the New York Giants are going to win the Super Bowl. But that's not the question we're asking. We're asking, can they beat the 3 teams they have to beat in order to get into the playoffs? And I believe that this team, constructed the way it is, even with being 30th in the past, having Prince Amukamara back will be a big deal for them whenever he's able to come back and play. If they can just make some more plays, they've been stopping the run well all year. They've been a team that's been hard to run against. Last night, was a bit of a difference in that state. DeMarco Murray kind of got rolling.
He ran wild, but he got rolling.
Right, yeah. DeMarco Murray kind of got rolling, but he's still the guy that led the league in rushing last year. So he's a good player. He's going to make some plays. But if you look at this team and the things they have been able to do in the previous weeks, they've created turnovers. They put pressure on the quarterback at times, other than the first 2 weeks late in the game. I just feel like if you look at the Eagles, the Washington Redskins, and the Dallas Cowboys, the last two teams, the Washington Redskins and Dallas Cowboys, are depleted by injury. They don't have anyone to throw to. They don't have any playmakers. So it's really a race between these two teams. And with the way Sam Bradford is playing, I can't put my trust in that, whether they give up points or not. You also have to realize, as the years have gone on in Chip Kelly's system, with the way he practices, with the way he coaches games, these teams fall off towards the end of the year.
I agree.
It's hard for a Chip Kelly team to play 80 to 90 plays of defense and be successful in the November games, the December games, which essentially puts you in the playoffs.
But what do you feel about folks who are saying, or not that you feel about them personally, based on what they're saying, what do you make of them saying Chip Kelly is making adjustments? Chip Kelly has modified.
I think he has
his approach a little bit.
I think he has.
Could that mean that we'll see something different from this team in November?
I don't think he's modified it as far as the speed of the game in which he plays. He's modified it in understanding that sometimes you're going to have to get under center to hand DeMarco Murray the ball. There are times you're going to have to use Darren Sproles in ways you haven't used him that he's most effective. So I think his play calling has been modified. His approach to football has not. Him wanting to get as many plays as he possibly can. Him wanting to practice at a high speed every week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not giving those guys rest, not allowing these guys' bodies to recuperate and then go out and play 90 plays. Play a fast-paced game of football. When it gets cold and when it's tough and when old ACL injuries act up because of the weather and you can't drop back and throw it 40 times a game, you're going to have to be a physical team that can get downhill. And the problem for this team has been being able to make those adjustments late in the season to a physical team that could play in those type of games.
So somebody at this desk has to defend the Dallas Cowboys. And guess who that's going to be?
Stephen A.
No one has to.
No, he is a closet Cowboy fan. I've said that from day one.
I did see the jersey.
That's okay.
Yes.
He
looks
looked
good
good
in
in
it. It does. He does. In a hat, too.
Bad day.
He's going to be wearing that for 2 weeks leading up to this year's upcoming Super Bowl.
I don't know about that.
2 weeks. I said a week.
No, you said you'd wear. There's a week off, right?
Super Bowl week.
Oh, Super Bowl week. Oh, we have amended the bet.
Oh, I thought it was a whole month.
Bow or whatever it is.
I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Neither do I.
Okay.
You can basically say you'll wear it the whole offseason.
You can whistle through the graveyard all you want because here come my Dallas Cowboys.
It will not happen.
From the outhouse to the castle?
Last night, from the outhouse to the castle.
Yeah.
Last night was a very good night for my Dallas Cowboys because I did fear that the New York Giants, you all seem to suddenly love and still love, we're about we're about to separate from the pack. And if they'd won last night, I'd say, uh-oh, I'm in trouble now, because they could build up such a cushion that my Cowboys couldn't catch them. But the Eagles took care of that in an eyesore of a football game in which I was not impressed by or scared by either football team, because one doesn't have a quarterback, because Sam Bradford turned into Sam Badford. I'm going to say it again, Badford. He was just flat out bad, and he's been mostly bad all year. Am I right about that?
Yeah, there's no question.
And you can't trust his physical being for him to stay upright, and he could wear out a little bit down the stretch. Mark Sanchez, I'll go on record. Mark Sanchez right now would scare me a little bit more than Sam Badford would, because he kept trying to throw the Giants back into the football game.
I think it's safe to say that Sam Badford has jeopardized his money. Remember, he
yes,
has a contract agreement. He wanted to bet on himself.
All right, that's
so he
fine.
can get more money. I think it's
a bad bet.
And to Molly's point, we are going to now stay off the Whedon in Dallas. We're going to stay off the Brandon Whedon, and we're going to go from the outhouse to the castle.
Yeah, we're in the castle now.
As in C-A-S-S-E-L, Matt Castle. And he's going to be 50% better than Brandon stay off the Whedon was ever for my Dallas Cowboys. So all of a sudden, here comes my Cowboys with a bona fide professional quarterback who's actually won some games before. He's had a couple of 11-5 years in New England, one in Kansas City, and did make the playoffs.
And he was the legitimate backup in Buffalo. Management willing to move him. That was against the wishes of Rex Ryan.
Thank you for making that point. So here they come to visit your Giants
Yeah.
this coming Sunday, and I like my chances in this game coming off a
Against
bye.
Ga-
I like my chances.
Really?
Yes, I do.
You
I
go
do.
ahead.
I'm
I don't
on
like
record
them.
already.
I don't like them.
I don't like
I
them.
don't like them. Ryan doesn't
Good.
like
I don't
them
like
either.
them.
I don't like them.
I like
Okay.
them.
Let's keep hope alive a little more, though. Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas says he won't rule out Des Bryant for this weekend's
No.
game versus the Giants. So that's good news.
That could
we're so
help a little
touched.
bit.
We're
really
so
are
touched.
gallivanting.
Well, you should be scared.
we're
That's
so
what you
touched.
should be.
We're starting to listen to Jerry. No.
Can't wait to see the castle in East Rutherford.
Really? You should be scared.
Yeah.
Somebody might step on his foot.
No.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you, as always.